The streets of Ouagadougou at dusk were quiet, but not peaceful. Shadows stretched long across cracked pavement. The sun had vanished beyond the horizon, leaving only the faint, flickering glow of scattered streetlights. Most people were hurrying home, doors shutting behind them, locking out the encroaching darkness. But in a forgotten corner, under a street lamp that sputtered like a dying heartbeat, sat a boy no older than 10. His clothes hung in tatters, dust clinging to every fold. His bare feet were scorched from the pavement, hardened and cracked. And in his hands, a tattered book. Its pages yellowed with age, its spine barely holding together. Yet he clung to it like a lifeline. He tilted it desperately toward the failing light, eyes scanning each word as if the story itself might save him. And that's when Ibrahim Traoré saw him, not as a president, not as a soldier, not as a man who had stared down coups, corruption, and the weight of a nation, but as a human being seeing another human in need. Would he pass by, like everyone else? Offer polite words and disappear into the armored safety of his convoy? Or would he do something far bolder, something that would change this boy's life forever? Stay with me, because what happened next is proof that true leadership is not measured in speeches or titles, but in the courage to see the humanity in a single child and refuse to look away. Earlier that evening, Ibrahim had finished back-to-back meetings. Foreign diplomats, agricultural reforms, military strategies. At just 34, he carried the hopes and fears of millions on his shoulders. Yet tonight, instead of speeding past in a bulletproof car with tinted windows, he asked his driver to slow down. He wanted to see his people, not on paper, not in reports, but with his own eyes. And then he saw the silhouette, a small figure, hunched beneath the faltering glow of a broken street lamp. Light and shadow danced across his tiny frame, casting a scene that seemed frozen in time. "Stop the car," Ibrahim said quietly. His security detail exchanged nervous glances. This was not safe, not protocol, but none of that mattered. When Ibrahim Traoré made a decision, he acted. The convoy halted. Ibrahim stepped into the warm night, the hum of the city wrapping around him, distant music, laughter, the roar of motorcycles. But his focus was unshakable. The boy under the lamp. Closer now he could see the child in detail, arms like fragile twigs, a face etched with worry far beyond his years. Clothes hand-me-downs, shoes non-existent, feet cut and dusty. And yet, it was the book that held him still. The lamp above the boy sputtered violently, the bulb flickering in uneven bursts. Each time it lit, the boy's eyes darted across the page, devouring every word. Each time it dimmed, he waited patiently, lips moving silently, fingers marking his place. He was chasing knowledge like it was oxygen. Something inside Ibrahim shifted. His chest tightened, a crack forming that he hadn't felt in years. He stepped closer. The boy didn't notice at first. Not until Ibrahim's shadow stretched across the page. Startled, the child leapt up, clutching the book to his chest, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Which, in that moment, it was. I'm not here to hurt you, Ibrahim said softly, raising his hands. I'm not here to take anything from you. The boy froze, breaths coming in quick, shallow bursts. His eyes flicked from Ibrahim to the dark street beyond, calculating escape. But there was something in Ibrahim's gaze. A calm, unwavering kindness that made him pause. A heartbeat passed, and in that heartbeat everything was about to change. Ibrahim knelt slowly, bringing himself down to the boy's level. Up close, he could see it all. The hollow cheeks, the exhaustion in Omari's eyes, the quiet fire of determination that refused to die despite everything stacked against him. "What's your name?" Ibrahim asked softly, his voice carrying warmth, not authority. The boy hesitated. Then, in a voice so quiet it almost disappeared into the night, he whispered, "Omari." "Omari," Ibrahim repeated, tasting the name. "A strong name." For a strong boy, he glanced at the book in Omari's hands. Carefully, as if it were made of glass, the boy held it up. It was a mathematics textbook. Old, worn, the pages barely holding together. The cover fragile as if it might crumble under the smallest pressure. Notes were scrawled in the margins in childish handwriting. Equations painstakingly solved, problems conquered in the dim glow of a broken lamp. "Mathematics," Omari said, a little louder now, pride creeping into his voice. I want to learn. I want to understand. Ibrahim's eyes softened. Where do you go to school, Omari? The boy looked down, shame and resignation flickering across his face. I don't go to school, sir. My mother, she is sick. My father, he left. I work at the market during the day, carrying heavy goods. But I found this book in the trash, and I want to learn. So I come here at night. This is the only place with light. I read as much as I can, before the darkness takes it away. Ibrahim looked up at the broken street lamp, its light trembling like a fragile heartbeat. Then back at Omari, the child who refused to let poverty steal his future, who chased fragments of light as others chase butterflies, who held knowledge like treasure. Around them, whispers began to stir. A few onlookers had gathered, curious. Who is this man talking to the street boy? Someone murmured, Why has the convoy stopped? Recognition rippled through the crowd. That's President Traore. Gasps and murmurs spread. Some shocked, some moved. Ibrahim's security detail formed a protective circle, hands hovering near their weapons, scanning for danger. This was not supposed to happen. A president does not stop his convoy for a street child. A president does not kneel in the dust. And yet here he was. Sir, one officer approached urgently. We need to move. This area is not secure. Anyone could. I'm exactly where I need to be, Ibrahim interrupted calmly, voice firm, unshakable. The officer froze, then stepped back. Ibrahim turned his full attention to Omari, who had shrunk against the wall, overwhelmed by the lights, the armed men, the growing crowd. The boy looked as if he could vanish into the shadows and never be found. Don't be afraid, Ibrahim said, placing a steady hand on Omari's shoulder. Tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was a simple question. Ordinary adults ask it every day. But for Omari, it was revolutionary. No one had ever dared to imagine a future for him beyond survival. Tears welled in the boy's eyes. His lip trembled. I want to be an engineer. I want to build things, fix things, make them work again. I want to make lights that never go out. So no child has to read in darkness. The words hung in the air like a prayer. A hush fell over the crowd. A woman wept quietly, but not everyone was moved. From the edge of the crowd, a man's voice cut through, harsh and bitter. Why waste time on this street rat, Traore? He's nobody. There are thousands like him. Do you think you can save them all with pretty words? Another voice followed, bitter and accusatory. My children need help. Where is your convoy for them? Why does this one boy matter? The crowd murmured, divided, and some defending Ibrahim, others questioning. His security tightened instinctively, tension rising. Ibrahim stood, but his hand stayed on Omari's shoulder. He turned to face the critics, his gaze scanning the crowd, meeting eyes one by one. You're right, he said, loud and unwavering. There are thousands like him. Tens of thousands. Children studying by candlelight, going hungry so their siblings can eat, working when they should be playing, carrying burdens that would crush grown men. But I am looking at this one child right now. I see him. I hear him. And if I, as your president, cannot stop to acknowledge one child's suffering, one child's hope, one child's dream, then what right do I have to claim I lead this nation? Silence fell. The doubters faltered. Ibrahim's voice rose, burning with conviction. You ask why this boy matters? Because he is Burkina Faso. His determination, his refusal to give up, even in darkness, even with nothing, is the determination of our nation. And if we cannot honor it, if we cannot see it, then we fail not just him, but ourselves. A soft wind stirred the street lamp's flickering light. And in that glow, a moment of hope, fragile but unbroken, stretched across Ouagadougou that night. That is the spirit of our people, Ibrahim thought, his gaze steady on Omari. And if we cannot see that, if we cannot honor that, then we have already lost. Inside, a storm of doubt raged. The voices of his advisers echoed in his mind, cautious, practical. The kind of voices that urged him to focus on policies, statistics, the so-called big picture. You can't save everyone, they said. You can't stop for every struggling child. The nation needs laws, not gestures, but Ibrahim had never been a man of caution. He had not become a revolutionary by accepting the impossible. He had not toppled corruption, not faced coups and death threats to maintain the status quo. He thought of his own childhood, not as dire as Omari's perhaps, but still filled with struggle. He remembered his own hunger for knowledge, his own late nights studying by candlelight, the mentors and teachers who refused to let him fail, the small acts of kindness that had shaped his destiny. And now, here he stood at a choice that would define him yet again. He could retreat. Return to his convoy. Maybe leave a few coins for the boy. Drive away and let the moment fade. That would be reasonable, expected, safe, or he could do more. Omari's eyes met his, wide, fearful, yet fragilely hopeful. The kind of look that carries a lifetime of disappointment. A look that had learned not to expect miracles. Ibrahim's decision was immediate. He pulled out his phone. I need you to do something for me, he said into the receiver, calm, commanding. Right now. The crowd leaned closer, straining to hear. The security team exchanged puzzled glances. Then, in front of everyone, he made a choice that would shock them all. Send a vehicle, now. Bring a full generator unit, professional lighting equipment, and bring Kofi from the Education Ministry. Wake him up if you have to. I don't care what time it is. Hanging up, he turned to Omari. You like to read under this lamp? Yes, the boy whispered, confused. Not anymore, Ibrahim said firmly. From tonight, you will never struggle for light again. Then, addressing his security officer, find out who maintains the streetlights in this district. Bring their supervisor, now. Within minutes, a nervous city official appeared, sweating, stammering. Mr. President, we have so many broken lights. We can't fix them all at once. Budget! Ibrahim's gaze lifted to the flickering bulb above Omari. This lamp. How long has it been broken? 6 months. Maybe longer, sir, the official muttered. 6 months, Ibrahim repeated, each word deliberate. For 6 months this child has been reading under a dangerous, broken lamp. Because no one cared. Because he lived in a poor neighborhood. Because he was nobody important, his voice rose, carrying through the crowd. That ends tonight. He pulled out his wallet and handed the official a stack of bills. You will fix every streetlight on this block by tomorrow night. Every single one. And if I return and find even one still broken, you will answer to me personally. Do you understand? The man nodded frantically and bolted, disappearing into the night. The crowd had grown larger now, phones raised, recording every moment. Social media was alive with the unfolding scene. Applause rippled through the spectators, but Ibrahim was not done. Soon, a truck arrived, workers unloading a powerful generator and professional lights. In less than 20 minutes, the once dark corner blazed with brilliant illumination. The feeble flicker of the broken street lamp was gone, replaced by a steady, warm glow that turned night into day. Omari lifted his face toward the lights, tears streaming down his cheeks. I can see, he whispered, voice trembling. Ibrahim knelt again, smiling. And now, Omari, you will always be able to see. Not just with your eyes, but with your heart. Never forget that. In that moment, the street was no longer just a corner of Ouagadougou. It was a symbol of hope. A testament that leadership is measured not by the walls you build, but by the lives you illuminate. And somewhere in the crowd, people began to murmur. This was more than charity. This was a revolution of compassion, a spark that would ignite change across the nation. I can see everything, Omari whispered, his voice trembling with awe. Then another vehicle arrived. Kofi from the Education Ministry stepped out, adjusting his clothes hastily, eyes wide with apprehension. Ibrahim pulled him aside, speaking in urgent, low tones. Kofi nodded repeatedly, understanding immediately the gravity of the moment. Ibrahim returned to Omari, kneeling once more. Omari, he said softly, starting tomorrow, you will attend the International School of Ouagadougou. All expenses paid, uniforms, books, meals, everything. You will have tutors to help you catch up on what you've missed. You will stay in a dormitory with a bed, electricity, and every opportunity to study without interruption. The boy's mouth opened, but no words came. His thin body began to shake. But my mother, he finally stammered. She's sick. I need to work. We need money for medicine. Ibrahim's expression softened. Your mother will be taken to the National Hospital tomorrow. She will receive the best care we can provide, free of charge. And she will receive a monthly stipend so she does not worry while you study. Your job, Omari, is not to work. Your job is to learn. Your job is to become the engineer you dream of being. Omari collapsed into Ibrahim's arms, sobs shaking his thin frame. Fear, hunger, exhaustion, and now impossibly hope. Real hope. Ibrahim held him without thought for protocol, cameras, or presidential dignity. He simply held a child who needed to be held. The crowd had grown silent, then began weeping. Women dabbed their eyes, men cleared throats, overwhelmed. The same voices that had criticized him hours before now cheered. This is our president, someone shouted. This is what leadership looks like. Ibrahim stood, raising a hand to quiet them. His voice rang clear and commanding. No, don't praise me. This should be normal. Every single person here could have stopped, could have helped this boy. I'm not a hero for finally noticing what you all walked past. Tomorrow, when you walk these streets, see the children like Omari. See the broken things no one fixes because they are in the wrong neighborhood. See the suffering we've learned to ignore because it is easier than caring. Then ask yourself, what will you do? He placed a hand gently on Omari's head. This boy taught me something tonight. He reminded me why I do this work. Not for power, not for glory, but because children deserve better. Because potential exists everywhere. But opportunity does not. And because a boy who studies by the light of a broken lamp deserves to have every lamp in this country shine for him. The crowd stood in stunned silence. But what happened next changed everything. That night, videos of Ibrahim kneeling beside Omari, calling for lights and promising an education went viral. Within hours, millions across Africa and the world had witnessed it. But this story was never about a viral video. It was about what came after. The next morning, Ibrahim personally escorted Omari to the international school. The boy walked through the gates in a crisp new uniform, backpack full of books, eyes wide with wonder. Teachers welcomed him. Other students, curious at first, soon discovered his brilliance. Despite lacking formal education, Omari's knowledge of mathematics was extraordinary. Within weeks, he was excelling, staying up late in the dormitory with all the light he needed, devouring knowledge with relentless hunger. But the real change was in Ouagadougou itself. People remembered Ibrahim's words. They began to notice the children around them. A woman started a program to provide solar lamps for nighttime study. A businessman funded streetlight repairs in poor neighborhoods. Teachers volunteered to tutor on weekends. Slowly, the city transformed. The invisible became visible. The ignored became acknowledged. Ibrahim visited Omari monthly, often unannounced, checking his studies, discussing dreams, and sometimes struggling alongside him with advanced mathematics. 6 months later, Omari's mother was released from the hospital, healthy and supported, trained for a dignified job at a local factory. 1 year after that night, Ibrahim stood before the nation, Omari by his side. The boy, now 11, stood taller, nourished, confident. When Ibrahim asked him to speak, Omari addressed the country. 1 year ago, Omari said, voice steady, I was invisible. I thought my dreams didn't matter, that no one cared if I lived or died. But President Traore saw me. He didn't just see me. He helped me. He showed me that I mattered. He paused, meeting the camera. I'm not special. There are children right now in every city, in every village, just like I was. Hungry, brilliant, invisible, reading by broken lamps. I'm here to tell you, we exist. We are your neighbors, your children, your future. Please see us. Please help us. In one act of kindness changed my life. Imagine what a nation's kindness could do. Omari became a symbol, not of charity, but of unlocked potential, restored dignity, and a society choosing to care. 3 years later, he won the national mathematics competition. 5 years later, a scholarship took him to university. 10 years later, he returned to Burkina Faso to build sustainable lighting systems, ensuring no child would ever study in darkness again. That night, under the bright new lights, Ibrahim Traoré did more than govern. He remembered humanity. He reminded an entire nation that greatness is not measured by power, victories, or wealth, but by how many lives you lift as you rise. The boy who read under a broken lamp became a man who lit the way for others. The president who stopped his convoy became a legend, not for politics, but for compassion that changed one life and inspired millions. In a world of darkness, poverty, and indifference, sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply to see the person in front of you, to stop when others pass by, to care when caring is inconvenient, to believe one life is enough to change your path. Omari was right, he was not special. There are millions like him. And that is not a reason for despair, it is a call to action. Every one of those children deserves to be seen, heard, and given a chance. This is the true legacy of that night under the broken lamp. Not a viral moment, but a mirror held up to us all. Ibrahim Traoré asked the question that night. And it is still ours to answer. I can see everything, Omari whispered, awe and disbelief mingling in his voice. His face illuminated by the new lights that now bathed the once dark corner in a warm, steady glow. Another vehicle rolled to a stop. Kofi, the education ministry official, stepped out, adjusting his clothes hastily, eyes wide with apprehension. Ibrahim motioned him aside, speaking in urgent, low tones. Kofi's jaw dropped, but as Ibrahim outlined the plan, his eyes widened, and he nodded repeatedly, understanding the magnitude of what was unfolding. Ibrahim turned back to Omari and knelt once more, bringing himself to the child's level, as if the gap between president and street boy could vanish entirely in this moment. Omari, he said gently, starting tomorrow you will attend the International School of Ouagadougou. All expenses paid, uniforms, books, meals, tutors to help you catch up, everything. You will stay in a dormitory with a bed, electricity, and uninterrupted time to study. Omari's mouth fell open. No words came. His body trembled. But, my mother, he finally stammered. She's sick. She needs me. We need money for medicine. Ibrahim's eyes softened, full of empathy. Your mother will be taken to the National Hospital tomorrow. She will receive the best care we can provide, free of charge. And she will receive a monthly stipend, so she does not need to worry while you study. Your job now, Omari, is not to work. Your job is to learn, to chase your dreams, to become the engineer you aspire to be. Omari collapsed into Ibrahim's arms. His thin frame shook with sobs, fear, hunger, exhaustion, and now impossibly hope. Real hope. For the first time in his life, he felt seen, understood, and valued. Ibrahim held him without concern for protocol, cameras, or image. He simply held a child who needed to be held, and in that embrace, the crowd held its breath. Tears streamed from women's eyes, men cleared their throats, overwhelmed by the simple, undeniable humanity of the scene. This is our president, someone shouted. This is what leadership looks like. Ibrahim raised a hand. Silence fell. His voice rang clear and commanding. No, don't praise me. Every person here could have stopped, could have seen Omari's struggle and done something. I am not a hero. I'm not extraordinary for finally noticing what you all walked past. Tomorrow, when you walk these streets, see the children like Omari. See the broken lamps, the neglected corners, the suffering we've learned to ignore because it is easier than caring. And then ask yourself, what will you do? He placed his hand gently on Omari's head. This boy reminded me tonight why I do this work. Not for power, not for glory, but because children deserve better. Potential exists everywhere, but opportunity does not. And because a boy who reads by a broken lamp deserves to have every lamp in this country shine for him. The crowd remained silent, stunned, holding the weight of the moment. But what happened next would ripple far beyond this street. Videos of Ibrahim kneeling, calling for lights, arranging the boy's education, and comforting him went viral. Millions across Africa and the world watched, awestruck. But this story was never about a viral video, it was about what came after. The next morning, Ibrahim personally escorted Omari to the international school. Omari walked through the gates in a crisp new uniform, backpack heavy with books, eyes wide with wonder. Teachers welcomed him, other students stared in curiosity, and whispers spread about the boy escorted by the president himself. Soon, it became clear that Omari's self-taught knowledge was extraordinary. Despite missing years of formal schooling, his grasp of mathematics was remarkable. He devoured lessons, stayed up late in the dormitory under proper lights, and asked questions that surprised even his teachers. Weeks passed, and Omari's brilliance shone. Meanwhile, in the streets of Ouagadougou, a quiet revolution began. Ibrahim's words inspired action. A woman started a program providing solar lamps to children studying at night. A businessman funded repairs for neglected streetlights. Teachers volunteered for free tutoring sessions on weekends. Slowly, the city transformed. What had been invisible, the children, the broken infrastructure, the unseen suffering, became visible, acknowledged, cared for. Ibrahim visited Omari monthly, often unannounced. He checked homework, discussed dreams, and sometimes struggled alongside the boy with advanced mathematical problems. Each visit reaffirmed the president's belief. True leadership was measured not by policy or rhetoric, but by action and compassion. 6 months later, Omari's mother was discharged from the hospital, healthy and supported. Ibrahim helped her secure dignified employment at a textile factory, ensuring she could provide for her family without fear. When she saw her son in a proper uniform, healthy, thriving, she wept, tears of relief, gratitude, and awe at the possibilities her son now had. 1 year after that night, Ibrahim stood before the nation, Omari by his side. The boy, now 11, stood taller, nourished, confident, his eyes bright. Ibrahim invited him to speak. Omari, despite nerves, addressed the nation. 1 year ago, I was invisible, he began. I thought my dreams didn't matter. I thought no one cared if I lived or died. But President Traore saw me. He didn't just see me. He helped me. He showed me that I mattered. He paused, composing himself, then looked directly into the camera. I'm not special. There are children right now in every city, in every village, just like I was. Hungry, brilliant, invisible, reading by broken lamps. I'm here to tell you, we exist. We are your neighbors, your children, your future. Please see us. Please help us. In one act of kindness changed my life. Imagine what a nation's kindness could do. Omari became a symbol, not of charity, but of potential unlocked, dignity restored, and a society choosing to care. 3 years later, he won the National Mathematics Competition. 5 years later, he received a scholarship to study engineering abroad. 10 years later, he returned to Burkina Faso to build sustainable lighting systems, ensuring no child would ever study in darkness again. But that night, under the bright new lights, something deeper happened. Ibrahim Traoré did more than govern. He remembered humanity. He reminded the nation that greatness is measured not by power, victories, or wealth, but by how many lives you lift as you rise. The boy who once read under a broken lamp became a man who lit the way for others. The president who stopped his convoy became a legend, not for politics, but for a simple act of human compassion that transformed a life and inspired millions. In a world of darkness, poverty, and indifference, sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply to see the person in front of you, to stop when others pass by, to care when caring is inconvenient, to believe one life can change the course of many. Omari was right. He was not special. Millions like him exist, and that is not a reason for despair. It is a call to action. Every child deserves to be seen, to be heard, and to be given a chance. This is the true legacy of that night under the broken lamp. Not a viral moment, not a feel-good story, but a mirror held up to all of us. Ibrahim Traoré asked the question, and it is still ours to answer, what will you do? And as the city slept that night, now bathed in light, the quiet glow of hope stretched far beyond Ouagadougou. A spark had been ignited, and nothing would ever be the same.